Captain Midnight.
So I was kind of shocked that Sony took this long to release the Spider-Man Brand New Day trailer, with the movie's release only 4 months away. But it's here now, I've watched it many times, and I want to talk about it, because I do think this is a really interesting one. I'm torn. Now, I would say I'm largely positive on the trailer. It feels like it's really capitalizing on the end of No Way Home in exactly the way I was hoping it would, but there's a few things in here that give me pause too. Let's go over all of it and what I'd really like to see from this movie. Okay, so initially, I was going to spend a decent portion of this video complaining about how they released this trailer, the whole drip feeding it out in 2-second clips thing, but whatever. The farther it gets in the rearview mirror, the less it feels like it matters. I'm sure counting all of that stuff was a great way to boost those crazy view stats that Sony has been blasting out. I found it annoying. It seemed to be a big win for them in the end, and it landed them big headlines, so sure, whatever, I'm over it. Let's just focus on the trailer itself. The first thing it does, and I would say the main objective that these few minutes seem to have, was to make it very clear that the end of No Way Home is the entire premise of the movie. That despite the time jump, they're not backing down from that or setting up a status quo that's radically different than where we left Peter Parker. Lost and going through the motions with only his identity as Spider-Man to give him purpose. That's exactly what I wanted to see. It's not that I didn't like Holland's previous movies. I did. I think at this point I'm a lot more positive on them than a lot of creators seem to be. But I think this reset for the character is a good and blunt way to give Peter a much harder go of it, and I'm excited to see how that plays out. It's apparently been 4 years since the end of No Way Home, and Peter's friends have moved on and seem to be having a good time in college. They're still pals, MJ has a new boyfriend, and obviously Peter is not part of the equation. Add to that the fact that he's still coping with the death of May, and it's clear that the guy has never had things worse. Well, aside from the time he was dead for 5 years. This seems like a good way to put Peter through the ringer and have him in a more lonely place than we've ever seen Holland's version. Now, the magic fantasy angle here does make this less immediately relatable, which is an important aspect to this character. I think comic book and genre storytelling is often at its best when it takes something small and personal, like being adrift and alone in your early 20s, and blows that up to cosmic proportions while holding on to those core feelings. This setup could accomplish that, and I like that they seem to be making it the focal point of the movie. Now, the possible transformation into Man-Spider, or whatever they're doing to get Peter organic webbing, I don't know, man, we'll see. Okay, I'll be honest, as a Spider-Man fan, I will go to my grave defending mechanical web shooters. I get the argument that it makes sense for the spider to give him that power, like that's fine, and it's not really an issue I have with the Raimi movies, but mechanical web shooters are fun for me for one reason, it's just scarcity. Spidey running out of webs mid-fight was always one of my favorite Spider-Man things. It puts him on his back foot, pushes him to the limit, and then, when it's all over, he has to figure out a way to make more of it on a tight budget. Like, it's a great concept, and it makes him feel like a DIY superhero in a way I really love. Now, this is something I could get over if the actual spider transformation thing is well executed. I could end up being very wrong, but I think I get what they're going for here thematically. Peter Parker has made his life small. He's Spider-Man, and as we see from his key to the city ceremony on TV, he's probably been doing a great job at that, but his personal life is basically non-existent. He's ignored the needs of the man for so long that he's literally becoming a spider in some way. Now, how they'll justify that in the story, I really don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if they went with something similar to the Man-Spider story in the 90s animated series, where they went about it pretty simply, with his spider bite just started causing mutations in him years later. This is really straightforward, and in a movie that seems to have as many villains as Brand New Day does, it's probably the easiest way to do this and keep the story moving. I don't know, it's a weird one, and that web cocoon we see in the trailer is most similar to the other, that mid-2000s comic that gets extremely mystical, which would feel so weird with the established tone of MCU Spider-Man. But you know, this is a soft reboot they're going for here, so who knows. I'm hoping they can pull it off, and not have it feel wildly out of place with this take on the webhead.
Spider-Man!
Speaking of villains though, Michael Mando's Scorpion is back. I had lost all hope, I really had. Homecoming was a million years ago. I didn't know if we'd ever get back to this post-credits scene, especially since that scene specifically and the Vulture's role in it had kind of gotten tied up in the Morbius movie. I just wasn't sure they'd really want to touch that, but no, he's here and I like it. Scorpion's one of the few big Lee Ditko era villains that's never really gotten his due on the big screen. Mando is a fantastic actor, so sign me up. But here's the thing. You can tell me there's a new Spider-Man movie where Peter Parker is dealing with everyone forgetting who he is, fighting the Scorpion, turning into Man-Spider, and putting up with the Punisher. And, I'd be more than happy to park it right there. That is a ton to deal with already. It's a lot to balance, but, probably manageable. That is not what this movie is. You want Hulk? We got Hulk. You want the Hand from Daredevil? We got him. Physics powers, Sadie Sink, Keith David playing someone in the voiceover? This is a lot, and I'm very worried that Brand New Day could have the exact same issues as Spider-Man 3 and The Amazing Spider-Man 2, where there's just so much going on, especially with the villains, that everything feels a little half-baked and it drags down even the good moments. I am really hoping that's not the case, and honestly, as much as I'd like to see a lot of Mando as Scorpion, I would not be surprised if he was more of an opening sequence villain, someone we see Spider-Man battling at the very start to establish the daily life of Peter Parker for the last 4 years. I'm interested to see how much Bruce Banner plays into things and whether the Hulk actually has a huge presence in the movie or not. From everything that's come out so far, it really feels like the Punisher has the bigger role, though that could be just a function of the effects work here clearly being rushed and them not wanting to show off the big green guy yet. Overall, I think the effects being pretty iffy are the biggest knock against the trailer. The concepts of some of these shots are really cool, but they look a little off in execution. Now, I've seen rumors that this was all redone at the last minute because previous versions of the trailer had leaked. I can't seem to confirm that though, so huge grain of salt. Whatever the case, obviously I really hope this stuff looks better by the time of release. You see something like Project Hail Mary that just came out and how excellent the effects work is in that, and I think it's clear that Marvel and Sony need to step it up a little bit and maybe give these workers a little more time. Anyway, I am very curious who Keith David is playing. I'd know that voice anywhere, and with him acknowledging the movie on social media, I think it's pretty safe to say that, yes, it is him. I really hope he's not playing Kirk Connors. I'm very tired of the Lizard generally, and he's never been a huge favorite of mine. I've seen the Jackal rumored. I think that's a more interesting option. Now, I was never huge on him either in the old Amazing Spider-Man comics, but I think it's a concept that lends itself well to a new interpretation, and a Keith David take on him would be pretty weird and unexpected. I'd at least be excited to see what that looks like. Of course, as of right now, we don't really know. And then there's Sadie Sink's character. If this is Jean Grey, what a strange way to start rolling out the new X-Men, right before the old X-Men are a big part of Doomsday. For that reason alone, I'm not really buying it. Typhoid Mary does seem more likely, but talking about all of this, it feels like there's just too many moving parts. So that's my main concern. Can Brand New Day manage to make all of these disparate elements actually cohere into something that works? I feel like in so many ways, Brand New Day sets itself up to be the stripped down, back to basics Spider-Man, and I would really appreciate that. I would really love a street level Spider-Man going up against one single, well fleshed out villain. But that is clearly not what this is, and I'm not saying that has to be a mistake. I like Barenthal's Punisher, even if he's had a lot of uneven material over the years. I like Ruffalo as Bruce, and I am very interested to see more about these villains. But this is a lot of spinning plates to balance, and I feel like we just have to hope that there's a vision behind the movie to actually manage all of it. You know who's a great actor that's never appeared in an MCU project? Steve Buscemi. Which is too bad, because he's easily one of our greatest and most versatile. If you love Buscemi as much as I do, you're definitely going to want to check out Steve Buscemi from New York firefighter to world-renowned character actor, part of CinemaStick's new series Let's Rewind. This was a great watch and touches on his whole career, from the early stuff to Spy Kids 2 to Boardwalk Empire and way more. And you can watch it right now on Nebula. That's because it's home to videos from people like Nando V Movies, Lindsay Ellis, Hello Future Me, and many more, with over 200 creators. Nebula stands out by offering a space where ad-free videos and unique projects can thrive, often ones you won't find anywhere else, like the Let's Rewind series. It's designed to be the go-to spot for both creators and viewers craving something fresh and creative. You'll have all my videos free from ads and tons of exclusive stuff from other great creators. Nebula keeps improving every single year, and if you haven't pulled the trigger yet, I definitely give it a shot. Right now, you can get 50% off. Annual membership is only $30 a year or just $250 a month. Head to go.nebula.tv/captainmidnight, scan the QR code on screen, or get straight to the Buscemi video by going to my link down below.
Here's a special tip for the fellas and girls who have not already joined Captain Midnight's new 1940 Flight Patrol. You'd better hurry up and join at once, because there's a big adventure ahead. The thing to do now is to get started, because we're going to have not only barrels of fun, but loads of free gifts and prizes too.